All right, what's up, guys? It's been an absolutely crazy few weeks. I'm gonna get more into it towards the end of this video, but I wanted to do a Q&A, so let's go ahead and jump in.
Woo. All gas, no break. Yeah.
So I'm about to go hit some chest and shoulders. I've got 30 minutes. I just took some Neuron. I've got 5-6 scoops of amino matrix in here. I'm gonna drink half of it and then drink the other half when I'm training. But we'll start off with, if you weren't bodybuilding / training, what would your profession be? That's a good question. Originally, when I was growing up, I wanted to be a pastor. I would still love to do something like that. There's just not a lot of money in it. It's a lot harder to make money. But if I wasn't coaching people, I still love the healthcare industry, so I could see myself doing something like nursing or become like an NP, or something along those lines. But I honestly couldn't tell you. I'm kind of like a plan A kind of guy, stick with it, ride it out till the wheels fall off. Let's see, what classes / courses have you taken that have been the most beneficial to you as a coach? For me personally, I've gone to a lot of like Charles Poliquin seminars and a lot of internships and stuff along those lines. And honestly, I can say the ones I've gotten the most from was when I just went to Charles or to Preston or to Milos or to whoever, and we just spoke about a certain thing, because they're going to work in different courses and their knowledge base into whatever it is that you're talking about. And you can ask questions specific to what you need. Of course, I feel like if you want to learn a basis of program design, go see Stefan Kazolt from Kilo. If you want to learn about how to train for athletes, Preston Green, I'd go see him for an internship, especially if you're wanting to do basketball. For football, David Lawrence, no one touches him, he's out of Mecca. I'll go do an internship with him. Gen Pop, Nick Mitchell is incredible. He doesn't really teach a lot, but learning kind of how he does things, or even Kelly Martinovich out of Shredded Strength in Australia. I would focus more on going and learning from specific people. It's more expensive, but you're gonna get way more out of it. How do bodybuilders access steroids safely? I knew steroid questions were gonna come through. I love it. I mean, I'm an open book. Like I'm here to give you guys an honest look into everything. So I'm gonna speak in general terms. I'm not gonna speak in specific terms to myself or to anyone I know or anything along those lines. So I'm just speaking to the air, we'll say. With bodybuilders, so like back in the day, they used to get prescribed by a doctor actually. But then they started running into issues with people abusing steroids, and so drug administration, whatever companies or federations, whatever you want to call them, start regulating it more, and they made it to where people could only get certain dosages, or they couldn't get certain things from doctors. This is back like 90s and prior to that. Like Arnold used to get his from a doctor. Then it got a little shady, like Ronnie Coleman, he used to go to Canada. There's a vet, like a veterinarian out there that he would get a lot of his stuff from. So then guys started doing it that way. There's still like pharmaceutical connections per se that people work with, but a lot of people have like connections with quote unquote underground labs. Some of them are incredible quality, some of them aren't. Some of them you're using things that say are one and they're not. So you're kind of shooting in the dark, but there is an informed way that they go about it. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. Your opinion on Sarms versus steroids. So if you don't know, Sarms are selective androgen receptor modulators. Basically, they're newer than steroids. There are some that have been around for like 20, 30 years that have been researched in the Sarms industry. But the big hype behind them was they had a more selective effect. Whereas like if you were to take testosterone, for example, it's gonna have a systemic effect. It's gonna affect the human as a whole. You can't specifically go and just affect the muscle tissue. You're gonna get a deepened voice. You're gonna get body hair growth. you're gonna get organ enlargement in some cases. Like you get the good and the bad. So that's kind of the sales pitch with Sarms. Is like you could take something like MK677, which is growth hormone secretagogue, if I'm not mistaken, and it's specifically going to affect that. It's a little too good to be true, in my opinion. If I were someone who is considering dabbling with Sarms or steroids or whatever it is, I personally would not be looking at Sarms. I'm not giving any advice. I'm speaking to myself in this case. I personally would go with something that is research, time tested, has a lot more data behind it, and it's less unpredictable. That's my opinion of it. Opinion on steroids affects short-term versus long-term. Man, you guys want to know a lot about steroids. So yeah, effects of steroids short-term versus long-term. Again, I'm speaking to myself in this case. I'm solely just giving an opinion. There is a lot of research on steroids. One thing that people don't understand is that steroids, that's like a blanket statement for a ridiculous amount of drugs and compounds. It's not like how like WADA makes it out to be, that like, or more so used to, when they first start popping people, like with the MLB, for example. They're not this god-awful thing that's gonna kill you. And again, I say that in a not direct way, but just speaking in opinion. Steroids were actually developed way back in the day, and Milos has some really good videos on this that I check out. But steroids are something that are supposed to help from a health perspective. They're a drug, a medication, tool that's supposed to be used to create growth, and growth is the opposite of death. So that being said, like if you have someone with a muscle atrophy disease or cancer or whatever it is, like there are certain drugs that are considered steroids that they would give to them to make them healthier. So in that case, from a short-term and long-term health effect, if they're not abused, I mean, it could be something that can make you live longer. Growth hormone, for example, aside from its effects on like tumors and all that, and depending on what studies you read and who you talk to, how it affects organs and whatever, growth hormone is actually an extremely beneficial thing for hair, nails, for a lot of different tissues in the body. So it can be great, steroids, in terms of the long-term and short-term effects. But I would say the biggest thing is, speaking generally, the people who do steroids and do them well and live longer lives are constantly monitoring their blood work. They have people around them that are more informed than them, that are helping make sure that things aren't overdone or done in the wrong case or whatever it is. So it can be good, but it can also be extremely detrimental. It's playing with fire, so there's good things and bad things. How many days per week do you work out? Generally speaking, on average is 6 days a week. Ever since working with Milos, he really likes that, doing a Monday through Saturday, hitting your weak body part twice, and in some cases even 3 times, and just splitting it up, like with shoulders, for example. I'll do lateral delts Monday, rear delts Tuesday, and then I also get a shoulder day. So 6 days. If I'm in like a growth phase, I've done as many as 9 training sessions in a week, to where you go 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. I think for most though, and Charles was a big advocate of this, 4 days a week is gonna take care of most of the situations that you're in. If you're a bodybuilder, it's obviously different. This is speaking more to Gen Pop. So anywhere between 4 and 6, that wasn't the question, but that's a common misconception, that you have to train a ridiculous amount. I'd say between 4 to 6 is really good. What is the heaviest weight you've ever lifted? Probably, I couldn't think of it fast enough, but I was gonna try to make some joke about like, well, I didn't lift it, but the weight of my sin, Jesus lifted that, and that was heavy as hell. But I couldn't put it together fast enough, so it wasn't funny. The heaviest weight I ever lifted. It was probably a squat, just because I don't do anything super crazy with deadlifts anymore. I was never super good with them. I have short arms, which is great for bodybuilding, great for Olympic weightlifting. Not good for conventional deadlifts, just from a poundage perspective and leverage. Yeah, I mean, I squatted 565 for a triple. But there's probably some machining that I've done some crazy weight on or something, but I honestly couldn't tell you the exact amount. We'll do a couple more, and then it's getting close to when I need to go train. So, how long have you been bodybuilding? Competitively, 2 years and change. My first competition was the Dennis James Classic in 2019. Yes, that was 2 years ago. How long have I been intentionally working towards shows? January 2019 was when I decided I was going to do the show. But I mean, I've always wanted to be really big. I've talked about it in different videos, kind of like how I got started and stuff. I've been actually weightlifting since I was like 12, since I was like 16, trying to get as big as I can. So it's kind of a vague answer. How many calories do you eat in a day, and what are the macros? I don't really pay attention to the calories or even the macros. Milos just knows what I'm supposed to do, and he tweaks things. I'm sure he has it written down. During my off season, I calculated at one point when I got to 245, which was the heaviest I've ever been. We were doing a good like 7 to 7,500 calories a day. That was when I was doing 2-a-day training, mind you, so that requires a lot more nutrients. Carbs were over 1,000 grams. Protein's pretty consistent throughout in season, off season, whatever it is. 6 meals at 50 to 60 grams protein a day, plus shakes and everything. So we'll call it 400 grams. And then fats, in most cases, between like 80 and 110 grams. It's tough to tell though, because a lot of it comes from like meats. So yeah, in most cases, that's around what it is. But during prep, I mean, it's obviously going to change. If I had to guess right now, I'm probably eating around like 3,000 calories, probably like 200 to 300 grams of carbs, maybe less than that, 150 to 250. And fats are probably around the same, proteins the same too. So if you weren't, oh no, I read that one. Oh, why did it go back? Anyways. Oh, what prep has been the most difficult for you and why? That's difficult to answer. I feel like every prep's been different. This will be my 4th show that I'm prepping for right now, and then 5th being USA's. I would definitely say the first was the easiest. The coach I had at the time, incredibly smart guy in his own respect, but he's not a bodybuilding coach. And he got really busy and honestly just didn't tweak anything. So me and another guy were getting prepped for the same show by the same coach, and we were both like, yeah, everyone's always like, the last few weeks you feel like you're dying, and it doesn't always have to be like that, but us being new to it, we were both like, yeah, I feel fine. Like, and that should have been a sign to us, but yeah, I was super under conditioned, so I didn't really have to suffer for that one. One of the hardest from an energy standpoint was definitely my second show. I was working with a coach, not Milos, but the coach prior, and we got me absolutely shredded. But I lost a lot of size too, unfortunately. I was only eating a good like 4 ounces of protein per meal with darn near no carbs, unless if it was a high day. So that one was really tough for that. From a mental stress standpoint though, definitely this one. That's probably a good segue into what I wanted to talk about, just how crazy things have been. So, as you know, I train NFL athletes, NHL, Olympic athletes, competitors. That's kind of my bread and butter. I've been working out of a facility for quite some time now. And as things have gotten more serious with bodybuilding, I've become more serious with it. And just the facility that I was at, I disagree with the way that they do some of the things, and it didn't line up a lot with what Charles Poliquin taught, and that's a lot of what I know. And so a mix of that and a mix of not really being able to do bodybuilding the way that I want to do it led to me and the owner just kind of deciding like, it's just not gonna work. He wanted someone that could work like 6 days a week, that could do anywhere from 5:30, 6 a.m. to 5:30, 6 p.m. And I don't know if you're gonna be able to get your meals in or whatever. And so when you're doing AM cardio, PM cardio, training 6 days a week, and everything's restricted and you don't really feel good, and it's like I have certain times I need to eat. I have certain times I need to train. And so when I was there, especially over the past like month or so, there were a couple times to where we would butt heads just because it's like, look, like it's been like 5 hours since I ate last, and I'm about to pass out. Like I need to eat, and just I'm a very organized person. The facility isn't. I'm not trying to talk trash about that. I'm just being transparent with you guys. So that being said, as of Friday, I'm not working there anymore. As of this last Friday, that's actually when I was gonna drop this video. I even recorded some of the questions already and everything, but yeah, things were just pretty crazy. So I was really down because it's just like, oh my gosh, like I'm about to go into this show, this first show and the second show, and as you guys know, with competing, it can get really, really expensive. Like when my wife and I sat down and we were budgeting things out, like easily I'm dropping like $1,500 or more. So for us to make this decision right now, like that, yeah, it's not gonna work. Like I either want you to not eat during your shift and just be here all the damn time, excuse my French, or like we're gonna have to split ways. Because like I need to be true to who I am and who I feel God called me to be, and I need to respect myself. So the timing sucks, but if I've learned anything, it's that God has a plan. He has my best interests in mind. If I'm being honest, I've been praying about leaving that facility because of how I disagree with how things are run and coached and whatever it is. For quite some time now, so I feel like this is God's way to be like, look, you're hesitating, go. Like I have something better for you. I have something planned for you. You gotta trust me. So yeah, I'm moving on. I'm just praying to God that I land the pro card at USA, God willing, get a paid sponsorship, start working with some incredible companies, bring a lot of value to them, continue building my platform, and just impact people, because I feel like that's what God has me on this earth to do, and it's through bodybuilding. So yeah, prayers are appreciated, and if you guys have any connections, let me know. I would of course love to stay in the fitness industry, and that's probably what's going to end up happening. I'm going to be talking to different facilities and stuff like that about helping out. So yeah, that's a Q&A. If you guys have any other ones, just put them in the comment section below. I'll go through and I'll answer them. If you guys like the Q&A, I can do more. Honestly, I planned on doing more of this video, but as you can tell, things are kind of crazy right now. So I'm getting jittery because the neurons hitting, and so I'm ready to like rip through some freaking weights. But yeah, I appreciate your guys' support. Thank you so much for liking and commenting and subscribing. It means a ton to me. It goes a lot further for me than it does for the investment on your guys' end. It means so much to me. So yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Next one should be a lot more exciting. We're getting into the show. We're getting into the peaking and everything like that. So stay tuned, and thank you. God bless.